You're listening to Soap Dirt, the latest in television entertainment news.
Hey there, CBS soap opera fans. This is Soap Dirt on YouTube, and we want to talk about something that is both a Bold and the Beautiful and possibly a Young and the Restless issue. And what we are wondering is whether Sheila Carter is going to head over to Y&R after her reign of terror is done on B&B. If you didn't know it, Sheila Carter's role actually originated on Young and the Restless way back in 1990, 33 years ago. We're going to talk more about what's going on with her on Bold and why she might actually end up on Y&R based on some recent name drops. If you haven't already, reach down, click that subscribe button so you don't miss any of our CBS soap opera updates. And now let's dig into this Sheila Carter issue. So right now on Bold and the Beautiful, Sheila is in jail. Bill Spencer and Ridge Forrester and the FBI set her up to go down for murder charges. They got her to confess to killing that guy with the bees. I think his name was Lance Day. So despite her shooting her son, shooting her daughter-in-law, it's the bee allergy incident that has her behind bars, and everybody's hoping that she's going to go down for murder one and that she's going to rot away. However, Sheila is desperate to get out of jail, and she's not taking this situation lying down. She contacted Jack Finnegan and asked him to come talk to her, and she reminded him about how hot they were for each other and all this, but Jack shut her down and said, "I'm not helping you, forget about it." We finally find out that Jack Finnegan is a top defense lawyer. We didn't know what he did for a living. Of course, his wife, Lee Finnegan, is a doctor. His son, Fenn, is also a doctor, but nobody ever knew what he did for a living, and it never came up, and it was never that relevant until this situation where Sheila calls him down and asks him for help. Now, unless Sheila has got some sort of leverage to use against him, some sort of blackmail, it doesn't seem likely that he will change his mind and help her. This is very tricky because the one thing that she held over his head was the revelation that he is actually Finn's biological father. You remember, he talked her out of the baby and then convinced Lee, that it was his wife Lee, that he basically was helping someone out, blah, blah, blah. And she didn't know until the whole Sheila Carter fiasco that Jack was their child's biological father. She thought he was simply his adoptive dad. So that leverage is gone, and it doesn't seem like there's anything new that she has to hold over Jack's head. So that being said, he was kind of her option for a legal route to get out of jail, because that's why she contacted him. She thought he could work some kind of legal eagle miracle, but he has refused. So with this legal option off the table, we have to wonder if she is going to try for a jailbreak. She has gotten out of jail before and has gone rampaging. This time, the question is whether she would stick around, or if she got out of jail, would she leave town? Now, if you have only seen her on Bold and you don't know about her past on Young and the Restless, we're going to talk about that right now. And there are signs that they could move her over there. They do move characters from Bold over to YR sometimes. They did it successfully with Sally Spectra. Bold and the Beautiful was not really utilizing her that well, and then they painted her into the corner with her faking a fatal illness to try and steal Wyatt away from felony Flo Fulton. But then they brought Sally over to Young and the Restless, and she's so great over there. She's very popular with fans. Her character got kind of a rewrite, even though they didn't really clean her up or anything. I mean, she's still the same character, but she is definitely enjoying a renaissance over there where she wasn't being written for very well on Bold and the Beautiful. So with Sheila in jail and desperate to get out, the question is, would she go to Genoa City, because she does know a lot of people there? If you don't remember, when she first started on Young and the Restless, she was a nurse obsessed with Scott Grainger. And Scott Grainger, if you know the name, he was the father of Scotty Grainger, who is a more recent addition to the cast, but he's not on there anymore. He came and went within the past couple of years. Sheila Carter drugged and raped Scott Grainger. She was trying to get pregnant. This is something that has happened to several men on Young and the Restless. If you don't know, it happened to Billy Abbott. There's definitely people that this has happened to before on the show. So Sheila did that, and then she did get pregnant. At the same time, Scott was with Lauren Fenmore, who was herself pregnant at the time with Scotty Grainger, little Scotty Grainger. Sheila's baby died at birth. It was stillborn. And so she stole little baby Scotty from Lauren to try and pass him off as her own. And that was really messy. And then Sheila, there was a whole bunch of stuff she did. There was kidnapping, there was this, there was that, typical Sheila Carter stuff. And then she supposedly died in a fire, but she had really slunk off to LA. And while in LA, she attacked little, very young Rick Forrester's nanny and took her place. And then she got a job working as a nurse at Forrester Creations. Not clear why Forrester Creations needed an in-house nurse, but they got one in Sheila Carter. And of course, this was back in the day when Eric Forrester was a big horn dog. He was a big cheater. He would cheat on Stephanie Forrester. He was just all over. This was back when he was fooling around with Brooke behind Ridges. There's just a bunch to it. And Eric Forrester cheated with Sheila, and Stephanie Forrester and Brooke Logan both hated Sheila for luring Eric and getting in bed with him. And then Lauren Fenmore decided, once she heard that Sheila Carter had popped up there, she wasn't going to put up with this. And so she jetted to LA to tell Eric Forrester what a piece of garbage that Sheila Carter is. And it's not totally unbelievable, but Eric, of course, forgave her, and then he married her. And that, of course, really annoyed people. But then she slept with someone else, and Sheila turned up pregnant and tried to tell Eric, "Oh, I'm pregnant with your baby." And then he said, "Oh, well, I had a vasectomy." And she had to say, "Oh, whoops." So he dumped her. And, this has just been a long and messy story. After he dumped her, Sheila went crazy. She was increasingly unhinged. She had accidentally pushed this shrink, Jay Garvin, to his death. She tried to drown Lauren. She locked James Warwick away in a basement. And then she held all of the Forresters at gunpoint before turning the gun on herself and threatening suicide. She was then sent to a mental ward. Sheila escaped. She ran to James Warwick saying that she was pregnant with his kid, which is Mary Warwick. We talked about it when we discussed Sheila's kids in one of our recent videos. Check the Bold and the Beautiful playlist if you want to see that one. She gave the kid to James and Maggie Forrester to raise. And of course, Maggie was the woman he actually loved. But then Sheila changed her mind, tried to kidnap her baby back. Then she later convinced James to fall for her. Sheila also tried to drown Stephanie Forrester and also shot her. This was back in her original reign of terror on Bold and Beautiful. So the question is, would Sheila come to Genoa City? Well, she might. She might, because if she's on the run from LA, Genoa City on Y&R is another stomping ground she knows well. Y&R doesn't have a good villain right now, so they could certainly use a villainous influence, and Sheila's return would strike terror into the hearts of everybody in GC. So this could be really fun. If you haven't already, reach down, click that subscribe button so you don't miss any of our Young and the Restless and Bold and the Beautiful spoilers. So what do you think? Would you like to see Sheila Carter go over to Young and the Restless if she escapes jail on Bold and the Beautiful? We're in the first full week of May sweeps, and we're going to have more sweeps action next week. And I tend to think that Sheila is not going to just be relegated to prison and be written off of the show. I tend to think that there's more coming for her during May sweeps, especially because she's been doing these villainous monologues from her cell at the jail, where she keeps talking about, I got to get out of here. I got to get out of here. So she is not going to go down quietly. She is not going to just go to jail if there's any way that she can get out of it. So we expect more traction on this, and you never know, she might end up over on Y&R. Let us know what you think in the comments below.
Thank you for being a loyal listener. Follow us wherever you get your podcast. because you don't want to miss the next episode. Soap Dirt is on all the major podcast platforms, including Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and more.